What's up, fellas? Welcome to the site here. You can see we got quite some interesting vehicles present here. We got a badass off-road Panda here, Fiat Panda, and some racing style Renault Megane, and of course this motorhome there. Well, I bought one of those. Can you guess which one? Not hard, is it? For those that don't know, this motorhome here is indeed a Ford Transit base. And actually I wasn't really searching for one, but this option kind of came along, and you know me, I just couldn't turn it down. So let's go around it and take a quick look, shall we? Here on the inside we got those nice seats, a little refurbished, wouldn't hurt, but not in too bad of a condition. Then we got all the dashboard and everything, which is in decent condition, let's say. This motorhome actually was registered and on the road about 2 years ago, so I am not expecting too many problems. Fingers crossed on that one. The woman that sold it to me, the previous owner, had all the best words for it. Well, I took them with a grain of salt. But yeah, I'm sure this one has quite some stories to tell. They said that the last years they use it mainly to go for music festivals and also the birthdays. Yeah, go figure that out. But anyways, it is in pretty decent condition, but it could do with a little bit of renovation. We got plenty of equipment here, which I will be going through some other time. Let's just... okay, it's kind of a switch. We can just take a really quick look right now. Okay, we got the actual bathroom here. That's crazy. Very interesting. Okay. Yeah, everything was kind of restored, but as you can see, there is much left to be desired. Alright, let's go to the important stuff now. Check out this bedroom here. This is quite spacious, actually. Okay. Yeah, the whole thing is very spacious. This actually isn't the biggest Ford Transit motorhome, but still, because here it's no cupboards or anything, this thing is really spacious here. Okay, let's carry on with the really important or basic stuff. Let's pop the hood. Widna pesa. Ale hop hop. Hey man. Alright, so this, as you can see, we got a carburetor here, is of course a gasoline engine. In fact, it's the Pinto 1.6. It isn't the strongest engine, but for starters, we'll be happy to just get it running. The previous owner actually told me that it pulled great, but we'll have to check and evaluate this for ourselves. Anyways, all the kind of basic checks are telling me that this is indeed an okay engine. As you can see, the oil here is pretty clean, and yeah, I'm not seeing any moisture. Also, the oil level is fine, which is also a good sign. Here we got the service. Okay, this is very old service marking here. Okay, this is not really relevant. This is from 2013. The year of recording here is 2025, so this doesn't help us much really. But anyways, as you can see here, I've brought my tools with me, as well as some gas and a battery. So the first thing, we'll try to just put the battery in and try cranking the engine to see if the engine is turning okay, if the starter motor is working properly. I hope we got the keys here. Okay, my dog here is very hot already, and it's barely spring. But anyways, let's check for the keys here. Oh, before that, the actual reasons that the seats are not mounted here, and also that the lights have been dismounted as well, is that they actually started with the restoration of this motorhome. But as the previous owner told me, they quickly gave up. But not for the ordinary reasons, you know, let's say it would be too rusty or something. They actually gave up. The story behind that is kind of a long one, and also a personal one, but again, nothing interesting or special actually. Another very important thing, and actually kind of the most important thing when buying such a unit, is the bottom side, or the actual chassis. As you can see here, it is in very good condition. If this would be rotten or anything, I wouldn't bother buying this one. But since this is in actually very good condition, it offers a solid base, you know. This, I'm sure, when I will clean it off, it will kind of glow up. As you can see, this is just this green stuff that happens when the car is out on the rain. As you can see here, it is actually in pretty good shape down here. These spots here are actually body filler with glass fibers in it. That tells me they actually started with the restoration, but again, they just gave up. Alright, I'm not seeing the keys anywhere, so I'm just gonna go and make a phone call to the previous owner. I guess she's taken them home, you know, so they wouldn't disappear, if you know what I mean. Alright, it turns out I got the keys back home, but we can try and crank the engine anyways. I'm just gonna put the battery right here, and we'll try to bypass the starter motor, just so we make sure that the engine is indeed cranking. So we'll proceed starting it with the keys then. Actually, on these engines we don't have actually any immobilizer or anything. Sometimes you have to supply the plus 12 volt to the carburetor, as well as you do have kind of a solenoid in there, but other than that, you know, it's all mechanical. Once you turn the engine, if there's gasoline in the carburetor, it will start. Alright, before trying anything here, it's a good idea to put it out of the gear, like so. Okay. Okay, some clicking sounds there. Alright, so now we just have to connect this thing on the starter motor solenoid there, or a relay rather. Oh, and of course, if we were to try and starting the engine without the key, we have to supply the coil with the plus 12 volts as well. But other than that, that's actually it. Alright, so I got my little wire here, this green one, and I've actually connected it to the starter motor relay, positive there. So if I touch this onto the plus 12 volt here on the battery, the engine should crank. Let's try. Alright, looking very promising. Alright, so far so good. We actually confirmed that the starter motor is working, and also that the engine isn't seized. Because this isn't really far from home where the keys are, I'm gonna go and get the keys now. Because even if we were to try and feed the coil as well with plus 12 volts, we'll still have the steering wheel locked, you know. So anyways, we will be needing the keys, and yeah, not to mess around with the wires too much, I'm just gonna go get the keys and we'll proceed from there. Alright, so I'm back with some keys. This is the problems you experience when you have like hundreds of Fords of similar year, you know. I got a bunch of keys here, but I think one of those keys should be the right one for that lock there. It has to be. I'm thinking this one. I really hope this is the one. Those are from all the escorts and everything, and those are like blind tries, you know, if maybe someone would unlock that key, if this one won't, or this one. For these two I'm not really sure, so my bets are on one of those. Let's give it a shot. Come on. It seems it's not this one. Let's see about this one. God damn it. I tried this one and I barely got it out. You know, it's got kind of this safety. You have to push this one in. But I have some great news. This one, this unidentified one, actually... Come on, it turned it before. Alright, check this out. It actually works. Thank God, man. Okay, this is the one. So we can put all these other ones aside. I still don't know what these are for, but I guess they will come useful for some of the escorts I got at home. Alright, I'm really relieved by finding this key, you know. If I wouldn't find it, I would have to disassemble this lock mechanism and everything, but this is great news. All right, so carrying on here, let's try and get this engine running then. We're gonna plug the battery back on and try if we can crank the engine just with using the key there, just to check, you know, all the electrical wiring. Okay, we got some lights here. We're not able to crank the engine. Aha, I think I know why. Because I left that wire unplugged. Yeah, sure. Plug this back on. Okay, the starter actuator wire is back on. So let's try that again, shall we? All right, we're getting somewhere with this. Now the next thing we'll do is we're gonna remove the air filter and try pouring just a little bit of gasoline directly into the carburetor, just to see if we got any spark there. Okay, we're just gonna remove this kind of just a little bit, just to expose the carburetor. So yeah, let's just pour just a little bit of gasoline there and see if we get any coughing from this engine. Of course, I brought my fuel cell here. Just a little bit. And now let's try cranking it a little more. Nothing so far. Nothing. Well, let's check for spark then. Okay, we're running kind of low on the battery, so let me just put the Audi here and yeah, we'll jump start it for that little boost. Okay, so here we're all hooked up on the battery. Now we're gonna put the ignition in on position here, like so, and we're gonna bypass the starter motor, so we'll be able to turn the engine from here. And then we're gonna try and put this cable against the engine ground and see if we got any spark here. Okay, I got the starter wire here. Okay, now we got this wire here going off of the coil, and we'll try if we got any spark jumping here. I see no spark here. So that's our problem right now. There should be a spark jumping between this and the engine ground. Okay, next thing we'll try if the coil is getting plus 12 volts. Let's see here. Got almost 14 volts there. Here on the coil should be also about 14 volts. Okay, we got the voltage all the way to the coil. You can check, and we're actually reading almost 14 volts, so that's okay. Why is there no spark then? I guess there's a problem with the distributor then. So let's pop this off then. Okay, everything looking very clean here. Let's try cleaning the contact here. Okay, I've gone to all the connections here and just kind of make them a bit fresh, if you know what I mean. Just, you know, pull them off and back on again a couple of times. Now let's try if we get any spark here on one of those cables. I'm just gonna put this screwdriver like here to make a contact. Now we'll be looking if there's any spark jumping from the screwdriver onto the engine ground here. Alright, check this out. The engine is actually starting to run, and I also seen the spark. Have you seen it? I'm not sure if it will show on the video, but of course you have to believe me, because the engine is starting to run actually. So we've got the spark. Now let's just sort out the fueling and the engine should run somewhat. Great. For starters, I'm just gonna plug this fuel cell directly on the carburetor. Before that, I will pour just a little bit of gasoline in the carburetor just to help it spin a little, and yeah, we'll see where this gets us. We will try to get it running on the original tank as well, but for now, just to exclude the potential issues we might have with the reservoir, I'm just gonna run it off of the fuel cell just for a start. Okay, we actually have some gas here, so once the engine starts with the fuel cell, we'll try just hooking this up. Well, actually I'm going to put the fuel cell before the fuel pump here, just to check the functioning of the fuel pump as well. Alright, this might take a little while, you know, to purge all the old gasoline that might be standing here in the carburetor. You know, old gasoline tends to just cause problems, long story short. It might take a while, you know, to clean that old gas through, but then yeah, we got no excuses then. I'm gonna go now and try starting up the engine, and yeah, we'll see what happens. Again, we're just bypassing the starter relay with this wire. I just have to be careful not to get it tangled into the belt here. Okay, we might help it a little bit, and also some choke wouldn't hurt. Okay. Pizda. Ouch. Try again. Yeah, we might have to plug it on again. So let me get the Audi running. The good old trusty Audi 1.9 TDI, the legend, powering old Fords since I don't know when. Let's give it another shot then. All right, not bad, not bad, not bad at all. Let me give it some throttle now. Again, there's old gasoline here in the carburetor. We might have to clean it as well. But yeah, looks quite promising. Not really sure if it's running on all 4 cylinders though. Might have to check the coolant at this point. Let's pour some coolant in there to not overheat it for no reason. Oh, check it out. There's coolant in there. Great. Okay, I think that's the belt we're hearing now. Yeah, the belt has to warm up a little, you know. It's still made of rubber compound. But not bad, not bad. The engine is running reasonably fine actually. Idling perfectly as well. Check out this sound. It's like a ferry or something. Now the next thing I'm very curious about is the brakes, whether they are stuck or not, and also the gearbox. Even though the people told me that this should work just fine. So yeah, one way to find out, right? Let's try and go for a ride and see if the brakes are braking when they're not supposed to. Let me just zip tie this together to not get it again tangled down into anything around here. And then we're off to the test drive. So let's give it a shot then. And just try moving it a little bit. Pedro, pretty. Remo, ale noter. Hop hop. Hey, tle. Ale, hop hop noter. No rev counter, no problem. But we do have these nice triangle windows here. That's it. At least the rear brakes might very well stick because the handbrake was on. But anyways, let's give it a shot. They're not stuck. They're not stuck at all. Maybe the tires are empty a little. Yep, the tires are, well, they're not on the ground totally, but I think they could use a little bit of air. And it surely feels with this kind of weak engine, if we are to tell the truth. Okay, this one isn't as bad. What the hell? I sure hope this is not gasoline. No, it's just water, I think. Yeah, just water. Clean water at that. I'm happy it isn't like junk water or something. I'm just testing it like that. It seems like they put out the plug, you know, to let it out. Now by moving, yeah, it just poured out. But that's just weight reduction, right? So let's go for that test drive, just quickly up and down here. Also, the brakes seem to be working somewhat. Just how well they work, we'll figure out soon. Things are just falling off there. On that thought, I really should have put at least those lights somewhere lower, right? Let me just do that real quick. All right, let's say we won't break anything now. We're not gonna go fast anyways. Okay, we're driving. We're not gonna rush anything. Still we can try the second gear. Yeah, that empty tire, it surely fills. And also the engine, you know, it hasn't got that power that it should have, albeit 1.6. But the brakes work. And I'm gonna say they work great, but they work. They're doing something. Хайде вън, приди. So there we have it. We've actually made a successful test drive. This one really is an interesting vehicle, to say the least. Keep in mind, this actually was standing still for 2 years or so, which really isn't that little if you think about it. Actually, you got it running reasonably fast, and I'm very happy with the results here. Now the first thing I have to do is drive it home and give it a proper wash. I really think that this one will really glow up. You see, if we use a pressure washer against this, this will turn quite more white than it is. What I'm gonna do here is just put it together. I'm gonna mount the lights as well as check the brakes and then just drive it home, I think. I'm just gonna use some temporary plates and really just drive it on the road. And that's it for this one. If you're curious how this motorhome project will end up, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I got some proper plans for this one, so stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Be good!